Hi,
Hey, how's it going?
it's going good.
Awesome. I think we'll get started here in a little bit. We'll let a few more.
Hey, Alok, nice to meet you. This is Madhukar. I'm part of the Devrev team.
Hi, Madhukar.
Thank you for doing this. We are all really looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Let me know when to get started. Should we give another, let's say, 60 seconds?
Yeah, people are still joining in. We have about 56 or so folks. We are also going to record it. So we'll replay it for our circle members at a later point. But yeah, let's give another maybe 30, 45 seconds and then we can get started.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen in the meantime.
Sounds good.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep. And then just to check, about how long will the presentation be?
Should be, I hope to kind of do it in 30 minutes,
Okay, awesome.
35 minutes, depending on how many.
Yeah, 'cause I'd love to ask some questions specifically about PLG and how you've kind of used those techniques as well.
Yeah, actually, I would be covering that.
Awesome. Excited to hear it.
Okay. Should we get started?
Yep, let's get started.
Okay, so first of all, thanks for Devrev team to host me to talk about this topic. This topic is very dear to my heart. And I've been working on this as part of my role at my prior company for some time now. So the topic initially was very generic, getting started with PLG, and people have written a lot of blogs on that. I have written some material on that. So what I decided was to focus slightly deeper into something specific. And I wanted to kind of talk about how the product-led growth and its marriage with product trials. Especially, we will kind of zero on onto the topic of product trials. So let's get started from that. Let me first kind of give a quick introduction to myself. So I have just recently turned an entrepreneur. I'm a founder for a stealth startup called Funnel Story. That's all I can talk about it right now. But apart from that, I am also an advisor to ShiftLeft as for their product strategy and an advisor to Banyan Security for product-led growth in their organization. I have worked in the past for almost 15 years in product management in companies at ShiftLeft, Imperva, McAfee, and started as an engineer into McAfee labs, writing the anti-spam code. So almost 2 decades, or you say 19 years of security experience. There was only 1 year when I strayed out of security. My background comes from the business school. That's what I did. Love to travel. I have a senior school going son, what's called 12th grade, everywhere else. So that's my quick background. I write a lot about product-led growth topics. So in any of you are interested, you can go click on this link, blog.funnelstory.io, and you can subscribe to that, and you will get some interesting topics. So that was kind of a quick introduction about me. Let's continue. So before we get started, more deeper, I wanted to set up some foundational stuff about product trials. A product trial in general, we all understand, is where your B2B customer would like to test your product offering to understand whether it's worth their time or not, right? Now, when I say product trials, it could be somebody offering a free service, a premium service, where you can have free for some time and then you have to upgrade to premium, or just trials, which in some other words are called proof of concept, proof of value. Everything is a trial. I mean, in that sense, where you are giving out your product for somebody to try. So let's go slightly deeper into this. So product trial, I mean, this is something is well known, but I am just reiterating for everybody's benefit that B2B customers will do product trials because that's their most trusted way to acquire information about quality of your claims, of a vendor's claim, and fitment to the organizational dynamics, values, experience, as and when, whatever you want to call that way. So this is the most valuable thing. A lot of people will get information from company provided brochures, get information from trade guides. They will also talk about their trusted circle, somebody's using the product. But ultimately, everyone wants to experience the product. And that's how they make the decision. I'm not saying something new, but I just want to kind of reiterate it. Because this is how the buyer side thinks about it, or the user on the buyer side thinks about it. But that's not how vendors have thought about it. So vendors have been historically split on the idea of offering product trials. This is important to understand because this will go more deeper into when and why and how you offer product trials and how it dovetails into the product-led strategy for many organizations, how they're thinking about it. So there are many reasons to avoid trials. First of all is, I'm the only person who offers this product. Why should I give a trial? If you need it, you would come to me. For example, any electricity utility provider, for example, never offers a trial. They are the only ones. If you want electricity in your house, you need to go to them. It's a kind of a very, very vague, very broad-sided monopoly power, but that's the case. Second, which is actually the most important one, is the high marginal cost of product trials. In simpler word, it is expensive to set up a trial for many, many products, which let's say are hardware-based. In some of the cases where you need a lot of pre-integration before the product can show value. So there's a lot of cost built into every trial. So the sales team or the marketing teams or the organizations will avoid some trials. And then there is a reason which a lot of us know, which is about sales is not comfortable with the product quality, because the moment you offer a trial, your quality is something that will get exposed to people. And if you're not confident, you don't offer it because you want to have an aided trial, controlled, so that your sales engineer can take care of those things, right? But then there are reasons to give trials, right? So a lot of startups, for example, and that's something which is very intuitively understood, will want to offer trials so that they can discover product market fit, what feature is working, what is not, what type of user. Startups are very young. So in that sense, they don't have much to lose. They would rather understand from early failures to build a better product, right? And it's also a new channel. And this is an important topic, and I will come on the next slide on that. In other cases, many of us during the COVID time saw Google Meet come into our inboxes. They were just competing and they were showing their competitive power that we have a channel, we can just enable Google Meet for everybody, it's free. And that's how some of the vendors will offer trial because they can, and because they believe that's how they will get the best acquisition of customers, right? And then there is another reason where a lot of vendors who know their product is very well known for quality, and it's a match for a lot of individuals based on their propensity to buy, they would like to reduce the time it takes for a customer to buy their products. So they will create an experience where the product, which is how it is assumed from the marketing world, they can touch and feel it. And in a very quick time, they will be able to purchase it if they have already got into, for example, in Apple stores. You see the product, they allow you a kind of a simple trial in that sense to touch and feel. And based on that, you make a decision to purchase it because what you believed, you saw that in the trials and you're ready to buy, right? So if that is the case, what happened recently? Why everybody is not offering product trials? And I talked about that. Remember, the cost matters. Whatever you think from the buyer side, from the seller side, unless the marginal cost of offering a trial is not low enough, people are not going to offer you trials, whatever the tech says, whatever everybody says. It's about the business at the end of the day, right? And the reason this product-led word has come into word, irrespective of what people say, is because it's so cheap, especially on the B2B SaaS side, to offer a trial because it doesn't cost most of the companies a lot. Now it's about a business decision. It's not about the cost. And that's what has happened in the last 3-4 years. Look at the cost. I mean, it has just dropped radically, precipitously, whatever term you want to use it. So that set up the context of what's the business rationale now for offering the trials. I've already talked about few options, why people want to offer trial. So let's think about some new things that have taken very strong roots why people will offer trials. So if the cost of sales is low, because now the cost of hardware, cost of cloud is low, you will want to offer trial because that now becomes more cheaper way for you to reach out your product. So you can reduce CAC or cost of acquiring new customers, and you can positively rotate the demand curve to your benefit. And I will show you in the next slide what that means. And that's what I will talk about when I talk about ShiftLeft, how ShiftLeft did that product-led growth. Then there is a concept of information rent. And something, for example, you guys are doing as a Devrev. When you have to create a new product category, it's the best way, it's the cheapest way for you to just reach out, offer your product for free, because that way you allow people to understand what a new category is, right? You put an information rent and it lives free in your head. For example, the product that is responsible for arranging this community, Lumo, I think, or Luma, right? They are also doing the same thing. Like they are allowing you to set up communities because that's how this category of establishing a software community is well understood by a lot of customers before they start to make revenue out of it, right? So those are the two new things that have happened, and most of them are about new channel of sales. There's one thing that has become hot, and that is happening. I blame it to a lot of millennials. So they are buying their personal iPhones, their personal Android gadgets, and they are coming to offices and say, oh my God, I would like my enterprise product to be as cool as my personal offering. So a lot of time, and many of product managers like me have experienced this, when they talk to some of the people who have rejected your products, they're not going to buy and trial, and they're saying, your UX looks like early 2000s, man. And you know that how it feels. For a lot of enterprise product managers, we were not used to that. We were supposed to deliver quality, and people are commenting on how I look, how my product looks, how it feels. But that is becoming important because people want the same set of experiences, right? So that has become hot. It was an existing trend. There are new trends that have happened. And that is something that you well understood. If you understood it well, that you understand where the trials are coming from. Don't expect everybody to do the trials. If it does not make business sense, they won't do trials. It's not about just a buyer deciding everything. The business or the revenue or the money still makes a lot of sense, right? So let's go to the next one. And this is my final slide from the foundational perspective before I jump in to what we did at ShiftLeft. Remember this, any product trial from a business point of view should rotate the demand curve upwards, which means, so whenever you offer a product trial, anybody offers a product trial, you allow everybody in the world, whether it's a public trial or private trial, to know more about your product. At that point of time, the quality as well as the fitment of your product is known to everybody. People will talk about it. So that should ideally, if the quality is good, if what you claimed is what you have delivered, then the demand curve will move upwards. But something else can happen if your product quality is not good and you are not confident and you release the product, then that can also go down. It's okay for startups, but not okay for a company which claims that they have achieved product market fit or which are much higher. It can be bad for you. It can create a negative word of mouth. So you should always think about why you will offer a product trial. Just don't jump into it because everybody is jumping into it. And it's important to understand that, right? So good. So this was a brief lecture from Professor Alok. In that sense, let's go to more deeper things. Okay. So I will wait here. What I will request you is, because this will, a lot of you are developers, and especially from the product teams in the audience, as I see it, I would say go to shiftleft.io and go to the this website. On the front page, there would be a sign-ups link on GitHub. If you have a GitHub account, I mean, that's the message for most of those audience. Go there, click on this, so that you can experience what I'm about to tell you. And I will take around count till 15 so that you guys can do it. Let's wait for that. So for those of you which have a GitHub account, you would experience either a one step or two step onboarding process. And I want you to kind of experience that because that's important for what I'm going to tell you. Remember this entire setup was reached with a lot of research and difficulty. More you experience it, more the next problem state will make a lot of sense to you. I will count till another 10 and then we'll go. Okay, I hope you guys have done that. Let's continue on the. So I was talking about that the ShiftLeft problem statement was about high cost of customer acquisition. And that is not only about ShiftLeft. Most enterprise security companies for last a decade, especially the security companies, we have taken a kind of enormous pride in being complex. We just love it because we are security. If people understand it in an easy manner, that somehow does not look good to us. So we made our product installation, configuration, acquisition, anything, whatever you call it, a lot complex. You have to talk to somebody for the marketing demo, then somebody will come validate that you are ready for the trial. And then we will configure a whole lot of things. And there would be one SE or two SEs, sales engineers would be involved in configuring that. And when ShiftLeft started in 2018, we also were doing something similar like that. We were showing what the product can do. It's a code analysis product, just to kind of give a sense here, which can analyze your code and tell you about the code vulnerabilities. And we were focusing on selling it to application security folks, right? So this was our process. People will come to us, they will say, let's say, I'm interested in offering, we will give a demo. Then we will make them sign an NDA that you cannot give our information, it's so privileged. Remember, we were trying to control the set of information. I don't know why, because we were just trained for that and we were just repeating what we had done in prior companies. Then our sales engineer, sales team will sit down with the buyer and agree on a set of proof of concept success criteria, as they're called. That this is what defines success, this is what defines failure, and this is performance criteria. Remember, anytime you do that, it's less about, it may sound simple doing a demo or signing an NDA, but for most of them who have been in sales for this is a lot of scheduling exercise. There are 5 people required on demo and their calendars won't meet, and you are working with a new company that you just started talking 15 days back, and you are just corralling everybody together. And that's just take 2-3 weeks for most of you who have come from the enterprise world. Then NDA, the legal will take its own time because they are not going to sign off anything. So it will take another one. Then POC success criteria, the engineers will write something, then like a security bosses will write something. It takes another 1 or 2 weeks. Then one of the interesting problems happen that for a code analysis, you need access to somebody's CI/CD pipeline and access to one piece of code that they would like to test. And to get that kind of approval is hard. Somebody will ask you why you're asking for that approval, because everybody, if they have to sign off on something, if you ask for something, they will ask you a lot of back questions on why you need it, how much you need it, and that will take time. So just going from the step from demo to CI/CD integration used to take 1.5 months at least. And then the actual proof of concept used to take only just 15 days, because that's how the nature of it. So if you are taking 2 months to do a proof of concept or a trial for a product in a sales process, then only then you can start this actual sale process after, if you have won the POC. So it takes 4 months, and 4 months basically becomes 2 quarters. So the sales deal that you have to close, it will take at least 2 quarters. From a business point of view, this is like one sales guy and one engineer cannot give you value unless 6 months are completed for any given deal. That's a long process, because most of the things is not even about the product. It's about just like herding cats. Not good. So, sorry. Okay, I heard something. Whoever is Sridhar Rao, can you mute yourself, please? Okay, so we said we wanted to solve this problem, and we needed to eliminate anything which is not required. So we came up with a design principle that we need to simplify this, because we want trials to become simpler. By the way, I didn't know anything about the term product-led growth at that point of time. This is 2020, start of 2020, when I was looking at these numbers at ShiftLeft. And I said, I needed to reduce work. Some of these tasks that are being done in this product trial definition is not required. I would ask less questions. If I ask too many questions, people will take their own time to answer that, and I don't want that. And I will educate user by making them do things in the product rather than giving a lot of demos. Because every time you create such a situation where you create some amount of learning curve, it takes time. You have to reduce that. And at the end of the day, when people are coming to try my product, they should get an emotional satisfaction. In the end, remember this, anybody who is in product trial, how cool your product is, they need some emotional satisfaction. That's how we all crave for, whether we watch a movie or whether we do a task. If you fix a bug, as most developers, you will have some kind of emotional satisfaction, and you need to give them at the end of any set of onboarding task or activity. If you just did something and there was no response, you'll say, what did I do now? So, and you do that. And so what we did was we were trying to eliminate any requirement where we were looking to create a self-serve solution, eliminate rest of the human beings so that the product itself can interact with the end user and take them to a journey without requiring more than one people to try out our product, and to ensure them that we are working with human psychology so that they can reach the desired goal they had, right? And we were judging ourselves ruthlessly on this. Anything we were looking that was not important or required, we would eliminate it, right? So we did that, and we eventually settled on a 3-step part to kind of set up the self-serve in that sense. We said we need to know about the user. Any good product would need to know who their users are. So at least to know from where they're coming from, and then understand their firmographics and demographics so that they can do better with them, provide more personalized experience with them. So we set up auth, and it's important. And auth, by the way, is becoming a very, very important criteria for how simplified a self-serve trial is. For example, these days, passwordless companies are coming to the fore, and that also reduces the time to onboard and the auth step by, let's say, 80%. But anyways, I'm kind of digressing there. For us, what was important to have a developer-friendly auth, because we were focusing on developers so that they can try out our product. They were our users. So we said we will start auth from GitHub, GitLab, or Azure. And you saw that, how quickly that can happen, because if you're targeting the right user, you want to get in there. Then we go to the next step. And we realized, and I was talking about this, that we needed to take a lot of permissions from the users, that we have to have onboarding, we have to take CI/CD permission, we have to find code that can be analyzed. So we were eliminating, first of all, the unnecessary step. For example, we eliminated NDA. If you come to a product and sign that terms of service agreement as a click, you're done. You don't need to do anything else. We need the need for bypassing the need for CI/CD environment as well as a test app by introducing a notion of what is called a demo app. It's a public demo app, which is well known to everybody else. It's a neutral between us as a vendor and the user who's interested in a product. And we created demo app so that you can just directly try that out. So that took a lot of burden away, a lot of task away from the end user organization to set up something. We did that. So we simplified onboarding. And then, as I said, we had to create a first-time user experience, which allows a user what is called pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So what was that? People should be able to see the result, not only the result, but also the experience. Remember, the setup for a code analysis product used to take 1.5 months. And if you could do it in 5 months, that is one experience, UX, that it can be done fast. And second thing is the results are good, the quality of claims. As I said, fitment and quality of claims both have to be validated, and that's what we were doing. So we did that, established that, and then based on that, we now had this product. So the moment you had signed up, many of you would have ended either on this screen or a prior screen to that. So what this was doing is giving you demo apps. You can just start, you can see this view. Anybody who was coming into the system were being asked on the eye level to try out the demo apps that were already configured. So you don't have to make a choice. I'm giving you a choice already. But if you want to do it, those list of apps are down below. It's a difference. Remember those shelves you go to supermarket? There are products that are on your eye view, and there are products down below. And there is a lot of money given by a lot of FMCG companies to put those products in the store at the eye level. So some of those decisions will be made here. And what did we automate? We automated the onboarding, demo, and the first results all together within less than 3 or 4 minutes. So rather than taking almost 1.5 months for anybody to try our products and lose interest in us, we now were able to get the most of the users a view into how a product works in less than 3 to 4 minutes. Think about the emotional satisfaction. Think about the how quickly you planted, or as I call it, information rent in the heads of people, that how your product is. Before anybody was even setting up the demo, your product was already there. And we launched in July 2020. So we had 2 goals. First was operational goals from a product perspective, because those were the original goals we were tracing. We realized that without automation, we were able to reduce for anybody to kind of get into a product significantly by 1/6 at least. Within 5 days, even if people were trying to herd the cat around in the company so that they can try out a product, this was less than 5 days. With at least 30, and that's why I'm being optimistic. But if you go to the specific steps, if I were having all the power and I had to set up a code analysis, a trial, it used to take me almost average of 300 minutes. Now I was able to do it within 5 minutes. So I released a lot of value. That value was being passed on to the end user, and I was ensuring that my claims and my user experience was good enough for the end users, right? So overall trial period came down to less than 2 weeks from 2 to 3 months, as I was talking about earlier. What that meant was, if my product trial will complete in 2 weeks, the sales process can take another 2 months to close that out. And now with the same number of engineers, sales engineers and salespeople, I was able to do twice the number of proof of concept. And that makes that there is a probability that my revenue can go 2x, right? So this is my second last slide. We were able to positively rotate demand. We had less than 5 minutes situation I already talked about. And then we had almost 3,000 plus organizations that signed up in the first year itself. Organization, I'm not saying users, right? And average time to close, I already talked about, reduced to 1 quarter from 2 quarters. So double up of the ability for me to engage more number of customers per quarter. And the best part was that this became a preferred channel. People wanted to try out the self-serve channel or the product-led journey, even if they were enterprise customer. I had a great final story to tell here. we at ShiftLeft, I think that was last year when we won a 7-figure deal, and I was there. And it was a Fortune 50 company. And they said, look, I decided to work with you because you guys had a self-serve. And I said, what does it mean? I mean, you guys are very big. You still ran a 2 months actually controlled POC process, but why you are crediting your start to this? And they said, a lot of time people think about that how easy the product is, and you are thinking from your head that product led and everything. But think about my time. If I'm in a large organization, if I have 5 vendors, and one vendor allows me to demo and test the product within, let's say, next 1 hour, and other person is asking me questions, qualifying itself, doing for demo, and it takes another 2 months just to schedule, give me a peek into the products, whom I will work with. Even my time is important. Even I want to watch that Netflix movie that I was not watching because I wasted time on just scheduling those calendars. Remember, everybody needs emotional satisfaction. It's not only the user, it's the buyer. They also have to herald a lot of cats. So the product-led view, if you can do it, it creates value for both of you, because nobody wants to engage in a long sales cycle. Nobody says in their dreams that I am going to, guys, I love to spend times in long sales cycles. Nobody said that ever, right? People ask what people are saying, because I just want to do it quickly so that I can do more important things like spending time with family, watching a Netflix movie. And I already talked about it multiple times, but that's what you want to do. So this I learned, and then I realized based on all the message on LinkedIn that what I was doing is actually called product-led growth. I honestly, swear to God, I didn't have a clue about that term. I was solving a business problem, simplifying trial and making it faster. Now it is called as product-led growth. So that's what it is. So thank you, guys. I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. That was great presentation. Anybody who's attending, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand, and then I'll call on you from there just to kind of keep it a little bit more organized. But to get things started, I had a question. I know you were talking a lot about how self-served has really benefited you and the company. One thing I heard about ShiftLeft through one of your podcasts was that you have some kind of way for users to actually test the efficiency and basically validate results through the app itself. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more about that. And then on top of that, kind of speak on the results and how you've seen either your users grow or just satisfaction grow.
Absolutely, great question. So remember, when you go to the theoretical concept of everything in a trial, and I go back to my first slide here, the reason why people do trial is because they want to validate your claims of quality, of any other claim that you have made, and fitment of the products to their environment. And their environment could mean organizational, and also it can mean your personal preferences, as talked about millennials having a need of everything looks like an iPhone. So for us, one of the challenges in the second revision of ShiftLeft self-serve came in, like we said, we will have demo apps. So that was good. But if you go to our blog.shiftleft.org and look at the top blog, it's a blog by the ShiftLeft chief scientist, Fabian, who basically did an experiment to show that what is the quality of the result is the highest with ShiftLeft, right? But that's a claim that we made. Remember, if you have a self-serve, people should validate your claims, because that's a promise of transparency that you build in whenever you design a product trial. So we had to find a way for people to try out that claim, because that way you can go and see, I do what I say, and I say what I do. And that was important. So we basically worked hard on having that application which was used in the code analysis world as a proof of product trials. We said we would be able to get that high level of scores, and we allowed end users to try out that app. So we added another app called Benchmark app, and those of you who are logged into the product will see in this list of demo apps, one of the apps called Benchmark. which people can try. Once you analyze that app, it takes around half an hour to actually to analyze that. It's a pretty big app. And it will send you an email telling you the detection rate. And you can then compare that detection rate with the claimed results in that block. And it's a pretty same. And that gives you a confidence that I can see what they claim is what they prove. And that's important for a trial. Does that answer your question, Brandon?
Yes, definitely. We actually had another question in the chat. Could you distinguish between the lifetime value of customer and then CAC?
Could you differentiate between the lifetime value and the CAC? I mean, lifetime value is on the revenue side, CAC is on the cost side. So, I mean, just fundamentally, they both think are different. Lifetime value will means what the customer will have generated the revenue from for you for the first purchase and also the renewal, and also by enlarging the size of the purchase. And that value is basically the revenue generated minus the cost of acquiring that customer. From a cost perspective, when you talk about CAC, it's mostly the operational cost, not the cost of building the products, but what it takes for to sell the product, to market the product. So that's what is counted as CAC. If you have a lot of sales people involved in selling a product, you automatically, let me give you that CAC thing, like, and why the CAC itself is the biggest motivator for most people to have a product trial. If I have a salesperson or one salesperson selling the product, that's 150K or 100K in US in terms of the sales cost, even without getting the first dollar of revenue, right? That's a salesperson. You will have a sales engineer, another 150K. So you are spending 250K and they will basically get at least, let's say, 10 customers. But if you have a product trial and where the marginal cost of offering a trial is, let's say, less than $5,000, there is no contest. The only thing is that salespeople can hide your inefficiencies of the product. So if your product is not good, then you would have a negative demand rotation. Otherwise, from a CAC perspective, especially in these times, mathematically, there is no other option, but you should offer product trials. And it raises the bar for everybody to offer a good product. Sorry, I slightly extended my answer, but I hope I was able to satisfy the original question.
Awesome. Yeah, another question from the chat from Akash. When he logged in through GitHub through ShiftLeft, it sends the pricing page sends you to the AWS marketplace, and he was wondering how that works from a PLG point of view.
So that's a good feedback. So one of the reasons why some of the organizations, so ShiftLeft, remember this, I'm out of ShiftLeft, but if I go back to the reasoning of it, the ShiftLeft process was about reducing the time. It did not add the payment plan. So one of the reasons why ShiftLeft is sending people to AWS is because a lot of enterprise purchase, not through credit card, unlike the kind of B2C tools, but through the enterprise way. And one of the simplest way for anybody to buy a product on the enterprise side is using their AWS credits. So it sends them there so that you can buy them there. So it's a kind of for you coming from the B2C world, it would seem slightly odd, but that is more, it's very much in line with how a lot of enterprise will buy. I mean, this is again an experiment. You run growth experiment and you learn from it, but that's the rationale of it.
Awesome. One question from me. I think everything you said about onboarding customers and then the trials, everything there was really great. I had a question about once you kind of get people onto your platform, how do you really try to keep them on your platform and keep them happy? And not only that, but continue to use your platform over time? That's
a very large question because that involves sales, marketing, product, customer success, and a lot of things. But I will say this, if you have, first of all, people who have validated your quality and matched your fitment should continue to believe that that is the case. At the start of the trial, the claims they are validating are mostly about the features. and mostly about the user experience. They don't know anything about your customer success, right? Some of the companies are putting customer success ahead in the pipeline because that's how because customer success is mostly motivated to make the customer successful. They don't care about whether it's generating revenue or not, which is the ideal thing for self-serve and the product-led trials, right? So this process should continue because product trial then translates in turn to customer success seamlessly. It's the same thing. There is no new thing that you're doing here. Your aim again should be to make this process a continuous loop. That anytime customer touches you, they see what you say is what you do, and it should be measurable. You should be able to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Another question, what's a good way to design a trial for something like an operationally heavy SaaS product, maybe something like Internet of Things where device installation, the cost isn't very low and you have very expensive starting costs. What are good ways to design trials for things like that?
Can you repeat that question? Sorry, I lost you in the middle.
Yeah. So basically, how do you design trials for something where the starting cost isn't low and you really have to put money down to really get things started?
So first of all, I think from a business point of view, you have to understand that there is the R&D cost of building a product, then there's the marginal cost of selling a product. If you have a cost to build out the product, that is a sunk cost the moment you start to sell it. It should not be counted as when you are deciding whether to offer a trial or not. So again, told you what it costs you to hire a salesperson to sell that product, and what's the cost of you marketing it through the marketplace, as well as advertising, SEO, SEM, as well as offering a trial. If your cost is, there should be no contest in most of the cases. But again, it's dependent on, you have to do the mathematics on each of the cases. Do not include R&D cost into the marginal cost of trialing out. They don't matter. That's a sunk cost. That's done. That's a done deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you speak a little bit to how larger PLG approaches that include partner and independent liaison relationships build on the power of customer emotional satisfaction, especially in the security solution domain?
So I say this line in my blog: product-led growth is a radical remaking of your go-to-market process. It should not be, you should not try to fit in the product trial process with your existing go-to-market process. They don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. If you're trying to force fit some of the things because you believe that it will give you additional channel of revenue, it doesn't work that way. So I'm not sure that's the first answer is the assumption is wrong. You should not be kind of mixing. You should be going by the first principles. As I said, that's the reason why I walked on the theory. I spent some time on the theory. Why you should first think about why you do what you want to do, and then think about what the go-to-market process looks like. Then think about how does the partners and marketers come into play? For example, you can have a referrals. A lot of companies, partners will bring you referrals, as in the B2C world, right? They are partners of different kind. So if the customer is coming to the trial through that manner, that could be one way to recognize partners' value. Or you can white label it, the trial, like in case of ShiftLeft, like White Hat Security took it for the same self-serve experience as a white label trial. So, but you have to imagine from a first principle. That's something which I will say. Do not try to mix and match existing process with this product-led trial go-to-market process.
Awesome. For the concept of information rent, could you explain a little bit more what part that plays in PLG and especially within ShiftLeft itself and your growth?
So for example, let's say talk about Devrev itself, right? If somebody, Devrev, the website came in and said, developer revenue relationship or something like that. And If you are a layman, irrespective of whatever anybody is claiming, you don't have a clue. I mean, a lot of people won't have a clue what that means. That's fuzzy itself, right? So if you want people to understand what that thing is, you want people to immerse in a product experience or a new experience, because that's how they will get educated about itself. If you have spread your words freely, and if you then have a controlled trial, only those people who have seen the what of the why, the product experience of that concept, only they will understand it. But if you make it wider, you are allowing people to not only understand what that concept is and that see that thing in practice. And that's what you guys are doing, because you want to create a new category, as I understand from that. That's placing information on a rent-free on the head, in the head of multiple people. And you can cash it back when you are going for the revenue, because by that time, people would have got comfortable what it means. And when the product is ready, you can encash that. And this is true for most of the products that are creating new categories, or saying they're disrupting an existing categories. That's how they basically propagate the concept, right? You want to propagate the concept not by marketing, but if you are in a product-led world, you want the product to propagate that concept, right? So that's what we call as information rent.
Thank you. I think we'll end here with one last question. For an early stage business-to-business startup, do you have any inputs on ways to gather customer feedback? And then along with that, how did you go about doing that at ShiftLeft?
So I have a great recommendation to make. One of the things that you do in early stage startup, I mean, that's what I learned from the story of, I think, Airbnb founder. He has recorded a great podcast with, I think, the founder of LinkedIn. I don't remember the podcast name, but they talk about, if you want to scale in the future, do things that are not scalable in the initial days, which means achieve a product market fit by working with few people so that your product is matured. So you do a controlled trial and you experience from it, and you try to do things personally so that you can achieve product market fit, even in a self-serve trial situation. Once you're confident, then you go broad. As I say always, I mean, this is important. The theory of this business, theory of business does not go away. People are going to judge you very harshly, because you are exposing the information of your product widely. If your product quality is not good, if you've not established product market fit, doing things broadly at that point of time can bite you back. So you want a positive demand curve. You don't want a negative demand curve. Once the information disclosed, it does not come back. So you should control your initial experience if you're not sure about your quality. So that's would be my basic principle-based guidance to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming in, and I'm sure all of us do appreciate you coming in and sharing some of your wisdom. It was a great presentation, and thank you for answering all of our questions as well. It was really insightful for me. I'll definitely be applying some of those techniques as the time goes on. But yeah, from here, we'll kind of move into more of our survey and raffle. So Alok, if you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to, but yeah, we'll start to move into that section. But can we get a big thank you in the chat for him coming and presenting to all of us? Yeah, I get some high fives going as well, or clapping. Awesome. All right, well, let me go ahead and share our form, our survey. All right, I just went ahead and posted the link. I'll post it a few more times after the thank yous keep rolling in. Yeah, it was a great presentation. Yeah, we'll have to have you back on. Yeah, it was great to hear from you. So, but yeah, basically the way this survey will work, after you fill it out, it's 12 or 13 questions. And then after you fill it out, we will go ahead and do a raffle. We'll do a little bit of a spinning wheel to see who will take home the $75 Amazon gift card. Again, thank you all for attending. It was great to see you all here. This was one of our most successful events, so we're definitely hoping to do more of these in the future. So we'll have a few questions in there. If you have any preferences for topics or anything like that that you'd like to see in the future, please let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of say to everybody, if you are interested to kind of listen to read out my blogs in this topic, reach out. I'm just typing my email address here in the chat box. You can just write to me, connect me on LinkedIn, and go to my blog, blog.funnelstory.io, and you should be able to see many of the future things that I'm going to write apart from the existing things. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, be sure to check that out. He also has a few different podcasts out, which are really great. You can get a lot of information from those as well. I listened to both of those recently and gained a lot of insight from them. So yeah, would definitely recommend going and looking at those. All right, so I'll go ahead and send the link one more time. And then basically from here, I'll kind of do a little run through of our product, who we are at Devrev. And then from there, we'll go ahead and do our raffle and we'll announce it live. Who is the winner? So in case you don't know who we are at Devrev, we are basically trying to make a customer relations platform for developers. So taking things like ticketing systems, support systems, and then a bunch of other tools that we use as developers from day to day, putting them all together in one platform, and then taking those platforms and basically gaining insights from them so that we can actually create smarter decisions as developers, and also provide support for people like product managers, support teams, and so on and so forth. So with that being said, let me go ahead and pull up our product. We are currently in our beta stage, so I'll be showing our beta. I would highly recommend to sign up for the beta. If you mark that you're interested on this form that I'm sending out, then we will go ahead and also try and schedule meetings with you to either get you signed up for the beta or even just show you the future of the product and where we're hoping to go from here. We have a lot of great stuff in store for you and in the future. So let's go ahead and do a really quick run through of our products just to kind of give you a little glimpse of what we're doing. I'll go ahead and yeah. Go ahead. All right, so going into the platform, this is just me logging in. I can see all the different updates that are going on, from tickets that are assigned to me to issues. You can see we're working on a lobby, but that's for the future. One fun thing we're doing is, I feel like a lot of the times as developers, things can kind of get lost in the weeds, and it's hard to get a 3,000 foot view of the product and what's going on. This Trails view is something we're working on to kind of give you those views so that you can look into different products that you're working on, different microservices, different capabilities, as well as even being able to see who's working on it, different tickets that are assigned to it. So lots of great things that are happening there. In the future, we're even planning on providing different metrics that you can view from there with integrations to different data viewing or data measuring tools. So lots of great things that are happening.
Hey, Brian, can I jump in very quickly here to tie it back to what Alok just said? So if you remember what Alok said was product-led growth, it typically revolves around the product itself. So if you think about Devrev Platform in general, we think of three pillars of product-led growth: the product itself, your customer, and your company's work associated with your product and your customer. So what Brant is showing here is your product. On the left-hand side, it's connected to your GitHub repo. So it has discovered all your parts, and on the right-hand side are features and capabilities. And this is then becomes your system of record or your product catalog. And this is connected to all the issues and tickets on one end. And those issues and tickets are then connected to your customer interactions. So what brand is showing. So I would just add to that, that we think that the Devrev is a platform for PLG companies. And this is kind of the center of that in terms of the product catalog. Sorry, Brand, keep going.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Along with that, as early stage PLG companies, it's very hard to get support and really understand how users are using your platform. One of the things we have is something called a plug widget. And so basically from that widget, you can put it pretty much anywhere. Specifically, you can put it on a website, and then any conversations that happen within that widget will actually end up happening, and then we'll end up in this inbox. And so you can actually track, as a developer, as a support member, as a PM, anyone within the company can actually go back and see, okay, this issue is created, but I don't know why. And then you can actually go back to, say, a different conversation to say, okay, this is why I need to fix this. This is exactly what the fix needs to be, so on and so forth. So we have lots of different things that are going on within the app. We'd be more than happy to share more later on. We're going to go ahead and go on to the raffle now, because I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for that. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the results from the survey. So if you haven't responded quite yet, this is kind of your last chance to do so. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the presentation and the event. All right, I'll go ahead and refresh the page one more time. All right, I'll go ahead and put the names into this wheel, and then we can have a fun little raffle. All right, here we go. All right, thank you all again for sticking around. Here we go. All right, moment of truth. I'm gonna go ahead and click. And our winner is there we go. Shahin. I will go ahead and find your email and send you the gift card. Everyone else, thank you so much for attending. It was a pleasure to see y'all here, and I'll go ahead and in the future, we'll be sending out more emails about future events, and we hope to see you there. And then besides that, please email me if you have any questions or anything about the product or anything about future events. I'd be happy to answer. But besides that, I hope y'all have a great day and have a great weekend coming up. All right, see y'all.